Many thanks for always joining me. I'm William Evans, and now this is the news in detail. President Paul Kagame has called on leaders to demonstrate result-oriented leadership and effective collaboration, noting that there is no justification for failure to make progress. This was during his remarks at the close of the 20th Umushyikirano. The two-day National Umushyikirano Council brought together senior national leaders, Rwandans from across the country, members of the diplomatic corps accredited to Rwanda, and friends of Rwanda. Discussions focus on the country's sustainable development agenda, existing challenges, and strategies to accelerate progress. In his closing address, President Paul Kagame emphasized that resolutions made during such forums should not remain mere talk, but must be implemented effectively. In such gatherings and the kind of conversations we've had here, it should not just be a routine of talking about things without getting desired results, so it becomes routine where we keep coming and talking about challenges, share solutions, and have extensive conversations. But after a year, when we come back, we find ourselves at the same place again. The head of state also added that leaders should not use Africa's history of colonialism and slavery as an excuse for failing to address current challenges, especially when they have capacity to act. We are fully aware of the origin of our problems, and we know the solutions too. But in between all these, we get lost. We confuse ourselves, and once asked, blame is shifted to the history. People who come and do bad, why do you allow them to? Why should someone find you in your own home, in your own right, and confuse you, and you also accept that? And as if that is not enough, you consider them the problem instead of yourself. You who accepts confusion are the problem. How can we change in practical ways our attitudes, the way we work and approaches we apply, now that we know everything we are dealing with? There are many challenges globally, and we do not have the capacity to solve them. But we have the capacity to solve our own problems. He further urged everyone to do what is possible and where challenges rise to seek alternative solutions rather than accept failure. But all of this should not confuse us and make us forget what concerns us. There are things we are capable of sorting. What we have the capacity to solve, we must solve them, and those we do not, then we must devise means of solving them, putting in more effort, giving things time to see how we can get over them, but also ensure that everything we are capable of doing, we do. Then we live in harmony with others, be it our immediate neighbors or those from afar. Where possible, we cooperate with them, and if it fails, then we bring back that energy home and focus on doing things that concern us. That is the only way we shall develop. The 20th National Umushyikirano Council also reviewed progress made in implementing the second National Strategy for Transformation, NST2, and launched discussions into measures to further strengthen Rwanda's sustainable development. Now, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Ambassador Olivier Nduhungirehe, says that Rwanda continues to open up to the world with a growing number of countries and international organizations strengthening cooperation with Rwanda. In his presentation on Rwanda's image on the international stage, Minister Nduhungirehe said that in the eyes of the international community, Rwanda is seen as a reliable and trusted partner. For more than 20 years now, Rwanda has been implementing a program contributing to peace and security, mainly in countries across the African continent. Minister Nduhungirehe said that in terms of security, Rwanda is a partner of the United Nations with 6,000 soldiers deployed in peacekeeping missions, placing Rwanda second in the world in terms of the number of troops contributing to UN peacekeeping operations. On matters of security in the Great Lakes region, Minister Nduhungirehe said that the international community deliberately turns a blind eye to insecurity and continues to look on as the government of Congo carries out killings against its own citizens who speak Kinyarwanda language. Beyond regional issues, Mr. Nduhungirehe also highlighted the role played by Rwandans living abroad in the country's economy, noting that the amount of money they send has increased from $9.6 million in 2003 to $502 million. President Paul Kagame has once again called on leaders to provide quality services to citizens, noting that the systems of delivering such services are already in place. The head of state also urged citizens to reject poor services where they still exist. Research conducted by the Rwanda Governance Board shows that the service delivery sector is among those most frequently criticized by citizens, and the chief executive officer of RGB, Dr. Doris Uwicheza Pikal, has acknowledged that the service sector still faces challenges. In her address, the issue of poor service delivery in a sustainable manner, the Minister of Education, Dr. Joseph Nsengimana, said that solutions should begin with education and upbringing with increased involvement from parents. In responding to the issues of delayed and runarounds, the Chief Executive Officer of the Rwanda Development Board explained that it will be resolved through a one-stop center, bringing together different institutions. And building on this, the President Paul Kagame called on to end the situation where people continue to be sent from one office to another. The session that concluded the National Umushyikirano Council focused on the link between the quality of education in schools and the skills required by the labor market, service delivery, and how it can be further improved, as well as the role of media and the arts in national development. Let's now look at Rwandans living in diaspora who said that they were pleased to take part in the 20th National Umushyikirano Council, noting that it served as a platform for exchanging ideas and one that helped them understand better their role in the country's development, gaining practical insights from the meeting, which they are ready to share with fellow Rwandans abroad.
This is my very first Umushyikirano, and it's absolutely amazing. The fact that the head of state will take 2 whole days from his extremely busy schedule to talk to the people. He's a president of the people. He cares about us, and it's about solutions. And so when we think about as diaspora, how can we think bigger? It's how we can be contributors. We're not just here to be spectators. We're supposed to take action. And so that's what I got from what the president said today. It's about our behaviors, about our actions, and what we can do to help build our country. I come here with a background in healthcare, so I'm looking at what solutions can we provide for healthcare? What talents can we bring to our country? What treasures can we bring to our country? But also, I'm just excited to the opportunity to be home, to be welcomed, to know that you're with your brothers and sisters who have the same interest in mind. How can we build a stronger, better Rwanda? So really excited. I'm here also to invite everyone to Diaspora Homecoming in 2026, where we attract the global African diaspora. Rwanda is where it's at, and everybody needs to see it.
Actually, before coming here, I didn't know what to expect, but I was amazingly surprised because I had a lot of insights about my country, where we have grown the past few years, and also where we have to grow. So as a student, it gave me a very good insight where I can contribute after my studies, where they need. Actually, my take home was the last thing His Excellency said, and that's the message that I'm going to give to all my students back home is that we as African are able to do what we want to do, and we should do it as well.
Some of the Rwandans living abroad, of course, sharing their insights. Now, participants in the National Mushyikirano Council meeting said that the President's guidance and the discussions held during the forum left them with valuable lessons on self-reliance and working together for the country's development. Attendees drawn from different parts of the country said the meeting provided an important opportunity to better understand where the nation stands and the role citizens must play in its development. They noted that the insights gained will be put in practical use. As for me, I picked two important things. First, like the President has always reminded us, I must be self-reliant and stop expecting from others. Second is to be independent and focus on what brings me personal growth and development. My take home from this gathering is from the President's address, where he encouraged us to work hard and be self-reliant, and secondly is to work very hard towards protecting my dignity. We must focus on what is beneficial to us and stop wasting time on useless things. Also, I was so inspired by one of the entrepreneurs who shared their story that I feel so inspired and motivated to work even harder as a young entrepreneur and ensure I am professional in all my work. A seasoned politician and governance expert and member of the East African Legislative Assembly, Honorable Fatuma Ndangiza, commended the conduct of this Umushyikirano session and highlighted its distinctiveness. What was unique in this edition of Umushyikirano is that there were less issues from the citizens from almost all sectors compared with other editions. Yes, some expressed some challenges they still face, but there were few and most of them were appreciating the progress made in different areas, and their requests mainly were around development. This edition, I can say, demonstrates that Rwandans have achieved a lot in other pillars and are now shifting the focus to economic development. The first National Umushyikirano Council meeting was held in 2003. Rooted in Rwandan culture, Umushyikirano is provided for in the Constitution of the Republic of Rwanda under Article 141. Now, some young people have pledged to step up efforts to ensure correct use of Kinyarwanda, saying it is essential to learn and use Kinyarwanda properly as a language that embodies Rwanda's culture. We do have details. Conversations, especially those involving young people on social media and everyday life, are increasingly marked by improper usage of Kinyarwanda. The youth we spoke to say that this distortion of language is caused by various factors. For young people that speak broken Kinyarwanda, it's largely because of the families some of us grow up in. You might find that some kids grow up without hearing Kinyarwanda being spoken to them in their family quite often. Then, these also end up in schools that barely use the language. Even many celebrities out here do not speak much Kinyarwanda. They often speak something close to perfect Kinyarwanda and foreign languages. The reason we usually speak broken Kinyarwanda is because we use foreign languages a lot in our daily lives, and this affects all of us to a point that you find parents training their children such languages knowingly or unknowingly. Many of us, out of the love we have for celebrities, we end up copying how they speak. Many of them usually use a lot of slangs which are not per se correct Kinyarwanda. Being that celebrities have a lot of influence over so many young people, we end up also adopting those slangs and use them in our daily life.
bitewe nuko babona ibintu avuga bakabikunda.
These young people also say that they feel embarrassed by the improper usage of Kinyarwanda language. However, they note that following the advice from President Paul Kagame, they've taken steps to improve the way they use Kinyarwanda. From what the president said yesterday, it's not good for us to promote other people's languages while neglecting our own. We ought to learn and use correct Kinyarwanda language and culture, and for foreigners who come here, we should be teaching them our language just like they do when we go to their countries. In particular, the Minister of National Unity and Civic Engagement, Dr. Jean Damascene Bizimana, has urged young people to avoid what some commonly refer to as gutwika, noting that the term carries a negative meaning in Rwanda's history. Let's explain to young people through several approaches that present facts. Be careful about certain dictions like gutwika, loosely translated as catching fire or causing fire. Where there are parties and celebrations, young people usually love saying that so and so yatwite, and we must teach these children that gutwika is not a good thing. In the 59s and the 60s, while Gikongoro was being lit, I was a young boy. Gutwika carries a bad connotation and shouldn't be used for celebrations or parties, and young people don't really know this. The proper usage of Kinyarwanda plays a key role in preserving national culture, safeguarding Rwanda's history, and promoting unity among Rwandans. Now let's take a short break and return with more news in a bit.
Nyiri muto arababwiraga data bati ntabwo wagira umukamo mwinshi utunze inkwi, ariko nigeze acika intege. Mama akinjira mu bucuruzi hari abamubwiraga bati ntabwo watera imbere udakorera mu iduka rigezweho, ariko ntibyamusubije inyuma, yakoranaga umwete. Njya muri kaminuza hari abanshidikanyagaho bavuga ko nashobora kaminuza naturuka mu muryango wifashije, ariko byarangiye nanditse amateka mashya. Igihe cyo gutera ishema umuryango wanjye kigeze, bamwe bakomeje kumbwira bati ntabwo watera umuryango wawe ibyishimo n'ishema, ariko narabishoboye. Hari abakekaga ko nasigira umurage ukomeye abankomokaho, ariko ubu mfite uruganda rutunganya amata. Banki ya Kigali yabaye umufatanyabikorwa wanjye mu rugendo rwose, inzozi zanjye ziba impamo.
With that, we come to the end of tonight's bulletin. I'm William Evans. Enjoy your weekend and enjoy responsibly. Good night and goodbye.